So we are in the second candle of Chanukah, and we are continuing with the spiritual learning that we have from this Chag, from this holiday. So yesterday we were talking about different concepts. How does it relate to? If you and you probably should really go back. Those of you who weren't here yesterday, listen to what we did yesterday. So you could really understand further down. We're going to build Be'ezrat Hashem every day further on those concepts, and hopefully by the end of Chanukah we won't get so much weight, but we're going to get some spiritual weight, and that's the most important. So I want to talk to you a little bit today about the truth about Chanukah. You know, if they say the truth, all the truth, nothing but the truth, as much as I could not lie to you. Yeah. So Chanukah is, since we were talking yesterday about lights and so on and so forth, maybe we should also in this Chanukah put some light on our perception of what the Chag is really all about, to maybe shatter some or shecht some holy cows, as they say that we have. You have some white powder on your nose from the Suganiot, yes, Pablo. And maybe
before you go to school.
and maybe to really look for the oil jug that would be able to create that flame inside of us in our heart, and to really maybe learn how to really make miracles. We talk about miracles. Along the way, maybe it's about time that we're going to really realize, and we're going to recognize who we are. Who are as we spoke yesterday, who are the Maccabim inside of us, and who are the Greek inside of us, or who are the true or real Maccabees, and who are the true Greeks inside of us. So let's try to clean the dust from all those perception of concepts that we had, all the way from kindergarten. I see my grandson, Baruch Hashem, is going to kindergarten, and I'm sure they tell him the same stories they told me. In between eating donuts and eating latkes. By the way, I made today 70 latkes. They were amazing. And you stood all in line like candles of Chanukah, and you were singing. I don't know, you had to do it here, but here also, when I was a kid, everybody had like a crown made out of paper with candles like this. And let's try to see, why do we really celebrate Chanukah? And you will see that inside that big noise that the Chanukah is making, right? The songs of Chanukah everywhere and so on and so forth, you could really find a very rich internal world, which is quite new, that you did not realize and weren't aware that really exists inside of you. A place where you can find a lot of your answers. So Chanukah is a holiday with a lot of character. It's a lot of magic to it. From the short winter days that we have, today was cloudy. All of a sudden we have lights, candles, all over the place, and that light brings us home. That light, when you see candles in the, if you walk in the street, I don't know about you, but if you walk in the street, and then you walk into the Jewish neighborhood, which is a wonderful, wonderful sight, and you see candles in the Chanukah lit in the windows. I don't know. At least for me, I want to be home. I don't want to be in the street, regardless of what I do. I want to be home. So there's something about this more and more. There's tremendous a lot of good delights that we eat. Whether it's latkes, sufganiyot, or lokmas if you're Sephardi, or sfinge if you're Moroccan. But that magic of the Chag really is because what this holiday symbolizes in our neshama, in the internal world of the person, and the essence of that and the purpose of that is much more and much greater than commemorization of glorious 8 days, 2,000 whatever years ago. So the Kabbalah explained to us, and we started yesterday, the Kabbalah explains to us that Chanukah has a special spiritual quality to it, one that opens a new window, a new direction in a person's, in a person's life. I don't know, during this time, for whatever reason, I feel like going somewhere, doing something new, but it's really, I think, once you start learning that, you understand where is it from. And we're not talking about, like changing your career. Today I was in Brooklyn. It was very strange. Why it was strange? Because in the Jewish area, everybody looks the same. The same thing as they did 2,000 years. No, 2,000 years ago. What should I say? It's not wrong. Like they look like 100 years ago with the payas and the streimels and the whole nine yards. But you go outside, all of a sudden, it's very weird. I see a lot of people with like blue hair. I guess blue hair and platinum hair is in style. I mean, the colors of the pillars, people are like all colors of the rainbow. But for whatever reason, everybody's wearing blue hair. It's crazy. Or platinum hair. Like, what's wrong? But I'm not talking about this kind of a change or what kind of tattoo you're going to get. Somebody told me that recently they got a tattoo. It's $500. I bought books today, and I have more books at home that I bought for the yeshiva for $500. That would last me an eternity. There's $500 for a tattoo. You gotta be out of your mind, and it's painful. So anyway, we're not talking about this kind of a change or changes, what we call changes. We are talking about a person, that has a lot of changes in his life, a lot of turmoils in his life, and right now is already well seasoned, and they can only come when you're well seasoned. That's why it's very important to me that you guys will have a lot of experience and deal with things and see things and so on and so forth. Because the spiritual awakening, as the Kabbalah tells us, you have to go through all the stages in order to start asking for a spiritual change. In other words, which is very nice, who does not like to be pampered by mommy and so on and so forth. But the more you are pampered by mommy or daddy or whoever you have it, the less chances that you will have to awaken yourself to a spiritual journey, to go on a spiritual journey, to develop spiritual growth to begin with. Only through the hardship of life, and then you become well seasoned in life, then you're saying, okay, that sometimes be more than that, and I need to do it. So, B'ezrat Hashem, you guys going to be all parents, or some of you are parents already. Do yourself and do your kids a favor. Don't spoil them. Don't spoil them. Absolutely don't spoil them. Make it a little difficult for them. Don't make your kids like entitled princes and prince. Make them work hard. Say no for things. The kid wants a new thing. No. Why? I don't have the money for it. No, the answer is no. If your kid right now hates you, later on, hopefully he'll grow out of this stage and will actually thank you because you will teach him something great in life. And those things, that seasoning, when you already dealt with a lot of stuff, that's what's going to help you awaken. And that's why it's sometimes good to go out of Queens and just go see the world, to meet other people, to really round your corners. And I'm not saying by eating too many donuts, just like round your corners in a different way. I'm very well rounded, as you could see. I look like a walking donut with a beard and muscles. But that awakening inside comes from what we call hanekudah shebelibo. The point in your heart, in your neshama, it's a special point inside of you that really is the nuclear reactor of all spiritual energy, so-called, inside of you. That certain point that never gets corrupted. You might cover it and prevent the light of it to come out by indulging on things, pleasures and so on and so forth, but that point is really never. You can never touch it. You can never harm it. You can cover it, but not harm it. That will awaken you from a good winter slumber to really come up and see what's the purpose of life. And that's what makes you not yet. בוא תשב פה, מותק, יש פה סופגניות. בוא, כהן, בוא לידי. לא ראיתי אותך הרבה זמן, בוא פה. בוא נו. בוא, תן לו סופגניה לכהן שלנו. כהניך ילבשו צדק. בוא פה, מפה. בוא מפה, נתי, שכולם יראו איזה יפה אתה, יאללה. לכבוד החג, אולי נמצא לך גם כן קלה, יאללה, בוא מותק, בוא. יאללה, סופגניה טעימה, יאללה, תאכל אותה. בעזרת השם, מישהו אוכל סופגניה, זה סימן לקלה, יאללה. ואם זה לא היה, אז מעכשיו זה יהיה. Right, and a person should really ask himself. You can if you don't ask yourself, what's the purpose? We spoke about it yesterday. What's the purpose of life? Ma ta'am ha'chaim, and so on and so forth. Why am I living life, and so on? There's something wrong with you. There's something absolutely wrong with you. So at that stage, when there is the awakening, the hitorerut, a person doesn't really know yet what is it that he's looking for. He just knows that he's looking for something. He starts to feel certain things. Something is cooking inside of him. Some emotions of spiritual unrest are being evoked inside of him. They're bubbling up, and all those things that you wanted before, the things you desired before, all the thoughts that you were thinking and the things that you dealt with, all of a sudden, which were very charming to you, all of a sudden seem pointless. And you say, what's the purpose of all these things? You see, for a person who is immature, he's going to come up with all those questions. Be'ezrat Hashem, I really want, and try to come, tell me what day you'll be here, because I want you to actually listen to that. I want you to all listen to what I'm going to Be'eli Neder. As I said to you yesterday, I'm going to read to you what, not today, but what really affects the emunah above all, where all problems of emunah come. Very important for us to understand that. And I'm going to read to you from the Netivot Shalom, straight out from the book. Straight up. It's very important, for me, very amazing. So, all of a sudden, when you don't want this thing, you're hanging out with your friends, and especially, you have friends, they still they're still living high school, or some college fraternity. And you're saying, what's wrong with these people? Like, Lord say, yeah, it was good when I was younger, but I have nothing to speak to these people. It's like, lo ma'anyen oti. I have nothing to do with this. That is a milestone that you know that inside of you, you are coming up to a certain change. Now, the thing is, of course, to tap into it, not to run away from that. And you start to understand that there is something else that you want, and you want to elevate yourself above your nature, above your regular desires. And you really want to feel something that is higher than life. Some other feelings, and that's by all means does not mean smoking weed. Because smoking weed, I'm going to tell you, I spoke with my friend today in Israel. He said, he meets a lot of people. He said he feels, and because I spoke, we're talking, and he said to me, you're right, I feel that today to have a clear mind is like some kind of like a bad thing to do. Everybody wants to be sedated. Everybody wants to be fogged out. Nobody wants to do what they want to do. כולם רוצים להיות מסטולים. It's not good. We need to be clear. That's the biggest trip of all. We're not talking about this kind of sedation that we said before. You want to feel elevated, by all means, not with drugs, because drugs is the thing that will probably anchor you the most to the land, to the dirt, to the filth, and I don't care. And by the way, there's no difference whether you're smoking dope, or chewing on swag, or you're putting a heroin, or you're sniffing some coke. It's all going to bring it to the garbage. Water is the way to go, Rabotai. No alcohol either. Reduce your alcohol consumption to ceremonial things only, like Shabbat. That's it. Cut down on your alcohol at 99.999%. Shabbat only for ceremony things, not to get drunk. There's nothing wrong by being aware. And the reason many times why we drink, because we know that there is a feeling inside of us, and it's eating us, that we are not living our life according to where the kishkish wants us to go. So what we're going to do, we're going to sedate ourselves. We're going to self-medicate ourselves. נותנים לעצמנו תרופות. That cannot go. We have to understand that. So Chanukah, of course, we're talking about Chanukah. So the light that symbolizes Chanukah more than anything. And the light is a spiritual force that exists above the reality of our day-to-day living. When we say light, Bereshit bara Elokim et hashamayim, there was that light. That light we are talking about, the light of the first day, not the light that they put on the fourth day with the sun and the moon and all the other chevra. We're talking about that spiritual light that generates all the great changes in the world. And of course, it's safe for tzaddikim la'atid lavo. And that's why more than any other thing, Chanukah hints on the internal timing that a person should start striving to open up bigger spaces, to open up new avenues, to explore. I mean, today there is nowhere to explore. I mean, we know what happens in the end of galaxies that are billions of lights away. We could tell, we could see. Yes, the light travel, whatever. But we could see. There's very little to explore. But there is one aspect, one frontier that hasn't been exploited yet, and that's the spiritual frontier inside of you. And you don't have to travel so far. Most of us don't really know who we are. And here comes the Kabbalah and says to us, listen, that's the whole reason of Chanukah. So, we take the light and we shooting down, like in the Olympics, they're like, the guy with the gun shuts it in the air, and yalla, let's start looking now for something that is going to be able to create a bigger combustion over a period of time. And that is the Kadash Shemen. That's the raccoon is still there. He's back. The raccoon is back.
Someone can.
Rocky raccoon. So, in order, because we all feel this thing inside, but surely, sooner or later, that spiritual high dies out. Why it dies out? Because there is no continuation to it. There's no combustion. There's no more fuel. And by the way, I'm not talking about gasoline. I'm talking about something that would last a long time. Right? Any beginning terrorist will tell you that when you make a Molotov bottle, you don't just put gasoline inside because you throw it, so that it will evaporate. You have to put something with oil inside so it would actually burn a little further. Well, that's exactly the Molotov cocktail inside of us. We need to have the spark, and that's the spark that we get. But now we have to start looking for the Pacha Shemen. Why shemen? Why oil? So you continue burning. And the menorah, when we're talking about the menorah, we know that there was always one light, right? Always Ner Ma'aravi Tamid Dolek. And that Ner Ma'aravi symbolizes that point inside of you. But you need to make an effort 6 times greater in order to go and to clean. And everything that we talk about the menorah, lighting the menorah in Bet HaMikdash, these are all the practices behind it are all about it's all symbolism also for how we actually act about lights of menorah inside of us, of the spiritual, the neshama inside of us. It has to be clean. It has to be pure. You have to make the wicks go. You can't let go until the fire actually catches 1 wick at a time. These are all processes that if you be able to sit down and analyze it, translate it into spiritual work, because everything in Bet HaMikdash was for spiritual representation as well. So that represents that as well. That's why I said to you, right? That's why I like to get my candles with oil ready myself. It's very good, it's very convenient to go to the store and to buy those things, no problem. But for myself, I like to do it myself. Because for me, it's not just lighting the menorah, doing the mitzvah, it's something much greater than that. Much greater than that. So, when we find this, hopefully the Kachem, then we're going to have that's the real victory. And here, this is where we have the big struggle when we call Milchemet Me'atim Mul Rabim, what we spoke about yesterday, of the rebellion of the Maccabim versus the Yevanim, the Greeks. So, alongside the historical story, according to the Kabbalah, as we said yesterday, we are talking about a war of internal war of spiritual elements, kochot pnimiyim, internal elements. As we said, the Greeks are pure logic, cold, pure logic, and this is the machshava that really anchors us to the ground. I got to be practical. I got to be this, right? Everybody tell you, you make kemach and Torah, you make kemach and Torah, you make kemach. Okay, בסדר, we know. But, so kemach, אבל איפה תורה בסופו של דבר? גם אם אין תורה אין קמח. You have to understand that. So that logic, that's the Yevanim. These are the Greeks. So the Greeks inside of us tell you all the time that there's no reason, we don't need to look for deeper meaning in life. Just, what you see is what you get. There's no olam haba, there's no olam hazeh. What you see is what you get. I didn't see a person coming back from olam haba. The rabbis made it all up. It's just a thing to restrict me, so I cannot do what I want. It's mind controlling, mind get at a nonsense. Now, in other words, what we have here on this earth, what we have is just our physical life. So to that matter, I'm going to tell you there's no difference between you and a cow. On the contrary, most likely a cow is better than you. A cow does exactly what God wants it to be. A cow is a cow. I never seen a cow acting like a human, but I've seen many humans acting like cows. So cows are better than you. I mean, if you are claiming whatever you're claiming, so at least do what you need to do. Act like a human being. And most of us don't, unfortunately. However, the Maccabim in our story, these are the kochot, the internal powers. They really want to see the real reality, the revelation of the real reality, and that would not be open to you. That is something that you need to explore yourself. It's going to be revealed to you once you're going to decide to reveal it. Layer after layer, layer after layer. And the deeper you go, the more clear things look for you. And you understand. And that's where you reach a level of what we call Ruach HaKodesh. It's not fortune telling, it's not future telling. It's about seeing everything in clarity. So you could, quote unquote, predict what's going to happen in the future. Everything is clear to you. And the greater clarity that you see, the more spiritual you are. And that can only come with understanding. For example, when we bring the solet mincha belula b'shemen. Olive oil always represents the light of Torah. When you bring the solet mincha, the farina, that's the core, the inside of the grain of the wheat. After you polished everything around it, you stay with the core of it. The core, the pure center of the grain. Only that you can bring to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You have to bring your inside. Take the bran and all the stuff outside. Take everything that all the masks that you put on yourself. When you come to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you have to come pure with your core. However, you can't come naked. Solet mincha belula b'shemen. You can come with Torah. You could become a very nice person. If there's no Torah in you, you can't bring it mincha Hashem. You can't. You see Bet HaMikdash again with our life. So and let's see exactly, we're almost finished. Let's see exactly what is a miracle. And you should know that this miracle of Chanukah happened inside of us all the time. What do I mean? A person that lives his life in this world cannot make a decision to live this reality, this brute physical reality, and to elevate himself in spiritual elevations with his own forces, with his own abilities. You can't do that. Now, the only way to do so is really to create a miracle or to create a complete turnaround, a complete, almost revolution. That can only come after you invested and you put a lot of effort. That's why I said to you, if you have a kid and you spoil him, you're actually causing damage to your kid. Because only through effort, learning to work hard, that is a skill that you acquire. We are talking today about different yeshiva versus public school, right? So Zalman over there said a very nice thing together with Revs here. He said, what the most important thing that you learn in yeshiva is not the actual learning, the math, the algebra, the trigonometry, because I'm going to tell you that most of you don't remember anything if you went to the best schools. But what you do acquire is the discipline to be able to work hard, because when you go to public school, your day ends at 2:30. When you go to yeshiva, when I'm talking about a real yeshiva, not some sorry whatever yeshiva that also, I'm talking about a real yeshiva. They have night seder until 10, 11 o'clock at night. So you learn to work hard, you learn to invest. That's why you cannot skimp on your kids' yeshiva. You should send them to the best possible yeshiva. Then we're going to learn to put an effort. Nothing comes without an effort. Nothing. You don't believe me? Go, you ask your average Japanese person. He would agree with me. You don't believe me? Ask Jiro. He will tell you the same thing. The guy with the sushi. Effort. You have to work hard. If you don't work hard, you're not going to get anywhere. Especially in the spiritual world. Chayav la'avod kasher. You have to work hard. Now, in this case, you have to invest and work hard in internal processes. You have to start transforming yourself into a different person. And that takes a lot of effort, but you need to understand that it has to be done. There's no way to become 50 years old with the same mentality of a 15-year-old. You see many 15-year-olds that still have a mentality of a 15-year-old, and that's because they were always entitled and always pampered, and they are very lazy and spoiled rotten, that they didn't want to ever make an effort in their life for anything. Everything was served to them on a silver platter. And then they end up with a silver spoon up their noses. Finished. We can't do that. So you have to work very, very hard, and you have to work hard on transforming yourself spiritually inside. Learning how to care, learning how to give. And yesterday we were talking about the needs from receiving all the time to giving. And that's what makes a person into a tzaddik. His willingness to give. As we said yesterday, we don't measure a tzaddik by how well he's dressed and how long his beard and so on and so forth. We measure a tzaddik by his willingness to give for himself to others. That's why I said to you, never call anybody tzaddik, because you don't really know who tzaddik is. We don't know. It's not our job to know. So have this in mind. Now, of course, learning Kabbalah will help you a lot understanding that. But learning Kabbalah can only come into place and only be effective when you actually start learning Shas and Poskim. When you learn Gemara, you learn Halakha, you understand the processes, you start to have some substance in you. Imagine, because learning Kabbalah without learning Shas is like eating desserts all the time. You're going to die, it's not good for you. Or eating schug without bread. Who eats sriracha like this? You can't eat shah. You put a little bit and you're good to go. Now, and why is that? Because after you put the appropriate efforts into learning a Gemara, learning the daf, coming, only then, all of a sudden, you're going to take a Kabbalah Sefer and you're going to open it and it's going to hit you in the face. Wow, how come I didn't know this 2 years ago? Because 2 years ago, you didn't put the effort into that. So when a person learns Kabbalah, he needs to understand, he needs to learn this beforehand. Not like those places that tell you, learn Kabbalah, kol yeh beseder. It's pointless. It's pointless. You need to really transform yourself to do so. But when you do that, then all of a sudden the miracle happens to you. And you see things in tremendous clarity. Ha'olam ha'elyon is opening to you. You understand what God wants from you. You understand your place in the world. You don't have to be so angry anymore. You don't have to be so violent anymore. We're thinking that, paranoid that somebody's going to take your place. You come to understand that there is a place dedicated only to you and nobody in the world can claim it. That realization comes through hardship, from struggle, from effort, from trying and failing and getting up again and falling and getting up again. Ask any successful person, he will tell you the same thing. Why is that? Because the patterns in the spiritual world are identical to the physical world. It's the same thing. Everybody wants to win the lottery. But the more people play, the the less chances you have to win. Yes, you have more money, but less chances for you to win. There's no such thing, as winning the lottery, but just like being. Even that you have to put an effort. And that's how really, this is really how miracles happen. When those things happen, you really understand, and all of a sudden you come to be revealed to understand the rule number one, the famous solid rule that really guides the spiritual world. And that's called the rule of love. Of understanding what love is. That really, this should be the engine behind you that drives you. You should do things because of love. After you're able to live, your actions are love-driven, not hate-driven, then you're free. Because you're free. If you operate out of hatred, you're captive. You're captive to your desire. When you do free, you can go anywhere. There's no difference at the time between Jew and Gentile, between black and white, between red and whatever other colors out there. Everything. And why? And especially towards love to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So if a person has a problem with God, I can tell you, a person like this is extremely selfish, very self-centered, and very, very not willing to put an effort. Life like that, life that is being propelled by love, life like that is a true miracle. And that is something, that's why Rabbi Akiva says, Ve'ahavta lereacha kamocha klal gadol b'Torah. The whole concept of Torah is about love, about caring, about giving, about sharing, about understanding your place and not wanting to take your place. So thinking that the Torah and the mitzvot come to restrict you shows and indicates one thing, that you are an absolute ignorant, not understanding what Torah is all about. All the laws of the Torah, whether they're rabbinical or biblical, came out of love. Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu loves His creation. And He wants you to be able to succeed. That's why He gives you the manual of how to operate the world. That can only come in Chanukah. That light that comes down in Chanukah, that's the light that brings things all about. So that's the spiritual light. We are 2 days into it. We don't have a lot of time, but I do recommend to you to please review it again what we are talking about. Because not so many people will tell you this. And we don't want to talk, we said enough about how much oil there is and how much this there is, but I want to take it and transform those quote-unquote technicality instructions into something spiritual. Everything that you do has a spiritual aspect to it. And this is our job to reveal it. And that's why we're here. So I hope this light will be able to shine from within us. And really, then we'll be able to become really what we call Or LaGoyim, lights for the Goyim, a light to the nations. In other words, we need to show how spiritual people really operate. And we have to be honest and compassionate and caring. And that's what the true light is all about. Chag Chanukah Sameach.